My own son knocked me off my chair at the Thanksgiving dinner saying, "This seat is for my father-in-law, get out of this house." I made him suffer. I lived my whole life for my son Brandon. After my wife Margaret and I divorced, I gave all my love to him. He was my only family until that despicable act that evening. I bought gifts for my grandchildren for Thanksgiving, and when I arrived home, everything looked perfect. "Is anyone else coming?" I asked. Jessica glanced at me. "My father," she said, "Richard Thornton, the real estate investor I'd been competing with in Chicago for years. I never thought I'd be sitting at the same table with that man." When Richard entered, the atmosphere changed. My son, who hadn't even stood up when I arrived, jumped to his feet, shook his hand, pulled out a chair, and poured him wine. He was showing that man the attention he never showed me. I was furious with my son, but I didn't show it. As always, I remained silent. When we sat down at the table, I instinctively headed for the head of the table. I had always sat in that chair for years, but after hearing what Brandon said, everything would change. "Dad, get up from there." "Why? This is my place. That place is for Mr. Thornton." "Brandon," I said in a trembling voice, "your mother and I always sat here. This place holds our memories. No one else can sit here." Before I could finish, Brandon suddenly came over and pushed me by the shoulders. My chair tipped over and I fell flat on my back. My grandchildren screamed. Jessica froze. Richard watched, a vague look of satisfaction on his face. "This seat is for my father-in-law," Brandon said. "Get out of this house." At that moment, my world collapsed. I couldn't get up. I was ashamed, angry. When my grandchildren ran to me, I whispered, "It's okay," but no one at the table saw me anymore. Brandon was talking to Richard about company mergers and investments. They were talking about handing over the company I had built to Richard. That night, I got up on the pretext of going to the bathroom. I locked the door. I took out my phone and called the necessary places. I fired him from the office and stripped him of all his authority. The next morning, while Brandon was having breakfast, the phone started ringing. Banks, insurance companies, investment funds. In 15 minutes, I received nearly 40 calls. The $760,000 debt was now on him. Without my guarantee, by noon, his house would be foreclosed, his car repossessed. When he went to the company, the secretary wouldn't let him in. My assistant Robert was sitting at his desk. "This isn't your office anymore," he said, and left an envelope on the desk. Inside the envelope was my letter. "Our actions have consequences, son. Last night you told me I had no place in your life. Today I'm telling you you have no place in the company. Your father, Harold, no longer knows you." That day, Brandon went through hell. His job, his house, his car, his cards, all gone in one night. Jessica took the kids and moved into her father's house. Brandon asked Richard for help, but he wouldn't even look at him. Months passed. Brandon was now living in a shared apartment in Aurora, working at a small real estate agency for a salary of $2,400. He was learning the meaning of humiliation and the value of labor in the most painful way.